So now that we've got some disks to work with, we're going to start creating our LVM-based file system. Now there you go. Our installation has finished, so we are ready to go. But we still have a little bit of work to run through yet in setting up LVM. We've got our disk files, but we haven't created devices. So as a good revision, let's run through our lo setup command. So we can use lo setup, -F to find the next available, -- show, so it's going to tell us what it shows, which is always nice, isn't it? And let's create then disk 2 at the moment, or link it to disk 2. So we've got loop 17. Now I know we have two disk files, but we only worry about this one for the moment. If I try running, let's say, pv create on /dev/loop 17, it's going to tell me that I need to have sudo privileges. However, if I've forgotten to add it, I can use Control and A to move to the beginning of the line, and I can just hit enter from anywhere. So that's our first building block in place. And now when I run PVS with sudo privileges, you can see that I have one physical volume for the LVM system. And we can see then that we have 1 gig of free space. But I can't use it yet. We still have the other elements to create. So if I go through and use VG create to create a volume group, I'm not going to think about names, so I'm just going to call it VG1, volume group 1, and I'm going to include into it /dev/loop17, the physical volume. So look at this, that was successfully created. Now we can go through and run our VGS, our sudo VGS, and you can see then that we have one volume group with one physical volume, no logical volumes at the moment, but we can see that we've got roughly 1 gigabyte of free space. I can also see the information with sudo and VG display. Shows me similar information, but in a more tabular format. The next level up is the important level where we start consuming the space. So we can use sudo and LVS, and of course we don't have any logical volumes. So let's use LV create. And from here, we can specify the name, so -n. And again, without a lot of sort, I'm going to call it LV1. We can use the size with either the uppercase L or lowercase l, but they have slightly different meaning. With the uppercase L, we specify the size that we want. With lowercase l, we specify the amount of blocks we want to use. So I'm just specifying here 1,000 meg. We can go through and specify that we're going to consume it from VG1, and look at that, we've got our logical volume created, LV1. This is starting to look very good, and when we run our LV scan, we can see then the logical volume being part of VG1, and we can navigate down and start looking at our VG scan, and we're going to be able to see that when we run our VGS, that we now have a volume group, a physical volume, and a logical volume, and about 20 meg of free space in our volume group. So let's not hang around. Let's go through and create our file system. So sudo mkfs.ext4, and we can go through, and the device that we put on it is going to be /dev, and then going in the dev directory, looking at the VG1 subdirectory, I can tab complete so we can see that it's all there. And then / the name of the volume. So LV1. So these are symbolic links that actually point to the correct dev mapper device, but it becomes a convenient way to access it. But that's it. We've created the file system now, so we're ready to mount it. So let's create our directory. So sudo and mkdir. But there's an extra option that we haven't seen. I can set the mode of the directory when we create it. But look at this. I'm setting everything to 0. So no permissions for anyone. Because this is the file in the root file system. People shouldn't be accessing this directory. I'm then going to go through and mount my ext file system. So as I go through, I can put in /dev/vg1 LV1, and mount it through to the data directory. So bread and butter stuff for us now, isn't this? With this done, we can now go through and set our permissions now that the file system is mounted. So we can use the sudo and chgroup command to add in the ADM group. And I can go through and change the chgroup command to chmod for changing the file mode or the permissions. And we can set the user and group to be read, write, and execute. Comma separate, because we're not going to set any permissions for others. So only the user and the group will have access. I'm a member of the ADM group. So now as I go through and take a look at those permissions on the directory, I can see that root has read, write, and execute. ADM, the group, has read, write, and execute. But then everything else is blank. I can create a file, but without content, just using the touch command. So I can see that I've got the write privileges here. But now when I go through and unmount the data directory, my file system then is removed and data becomes a member of the root file system. And now we don't have permissions. But this is a good thing, as we talked about before. It stops me adding content to the directory when the directory is not mounted.